Right, here's what's happening. 23 Newsday has uncovered what appears to be a cheap imitation of the Cabbage Patch doll. It is being marketed as a special kids doll, that's the name of it, and the scam involving it could be dangerous to you, your family, and your property, and here's why. Our Rose Gabrielle did a test on this doll tonight and found it to be very flammable, much unlike the Cabbage Patch doll. Here's her report.
The doll you see here has a strong kerosene-like odor. This similar penny pumpkin doll does not. We decided to put them both to the test. We cut open a part of each leg to get things started, and this, disturbingly, is what happened. But the other doll simply would not burn.
You saw the experiment. You saw what happened. What do you think?
Brings out this fact that while there are many imitations on the market of the so-called famous Cabbage Patch doll, some of them apparently can be bought with full confidence that they're not being hazardous as far as fire is concerned, while others can pose a very, very serious and potential hazard.
It ignited so easily, and at this time of year there are many sorts of ignitions available to a child. Candles, decorations, space heaters.
An article in today's Plain Dealer shows the Consumer Product Safety Commission is investigating toys which have this questionable odor. Check the product carefully before you buy for your children this Christmas. Rose Gabrielle, 23 Newsday.
The Thursby family, evacuated from Hardy Road, was back in court today for the second day of action in their lawsuit against the city of Akron. Don and Carol Thursby took the stand, telling the jury their assessment of the lost property. The trial continues tomorrow. More reaction is coming in concerning Akron's right-to-know ordinance, not all of it good, and some of it costing the city between 100 to 200 jobs. And with Akron hoping to be the polymer capital of the world, it's just a bit ironic that one business staying away deals with polymer research. Bruce Bowers is president of TRC Industries and Syncoat Enterprises based in Stowe. He was planning on moving to Akron. He had already sunk $20,000 into plans for a building in Opportunity Park and had laid down a deposit on the land. Bauer says a new OSHA law coming into effect soon will do most everything the right-to-know ordinance does without giving away trade secrets.
OSHA is not, number one, is not requiring that the list of chemicals and trade secrets become public knowledge. That is probably one of the big kickers in the Akron ordinance, that anything that I report to them goes to the health department and becomes a matter of public record, open to public inspection for the next 30 years.
Bauer says, for right now, he will look to expand his business elsewhere, and he expects that other small businesses in Akron will do the same.
A House Health and Safety Subcommittee met today to talk about possible safety standards at Union Carbide's Institute West Virginia plant and what extra precautions, if any, should be taken because of its similarities to the plant in India where the disaster happened last week. The chemical that killed so many thousands in India is also under almost identical conditions at this Union Carbide plant in West Virginia. And congressmen want to know if 100 employees should worry. Chairman Joseph Gatos said his subcommittee was not pointing any fingers at the company, and Representative Robert Wise said his constituents who live around the plant seem to be taking a wait-and-see attitude. He said they show no reasonable concern, no panic, no rushing around. But officials who represent Union Carbide employees gave their plant a clean bill of health. They say there is absolutely nothing to worry about. But authorities in Bhopal, India said today the Union Carbide plant there will go back into operation in just a few days in order to process its remaining poison gas. The conversion will start Sunday and can take as long as 5 days. The announcement triggered a new exodus from Bhopal as nearly 10,000 persons jammed the city's train and bus stations to try to get out of the area.
Fun, excitement, comfort and style for the ride of your life. Mile after mile, some Lincoln Mercury. We want to be your dealer.
Over 65 beautiful brand new full-size 1985 Mercury Grand Marquis are all on sale at Tom Boatswain Lincoln Mercury. Specially low price starting at just $12,999. Hurry, Tom Boatswain is ready to prove.
We want to be your dealer.
TrackMaster track lighting from Juno adds a bright new dimension to any room. TrackMaster, the lighting choice of designers, puts light where you want it and gives a new look to any room. Stop in now and see the incredible flexibility of TrackMaster, the best remodeling investment you'll ever make. TrackMaster by Juno. Come see the light.
2 locations, Akron and Fairlawn, Albright's for all your lighting needs.
Many of the folks in the Copley-Fairlawn School District who have complained over the past 2 years about the superintendent may have gotten their wish. In a school system plagued by money problems and a seemingly revolving door to the superintendent's office, the students have lost their latest superintendent. Carol Costello reports.
Superintendent Diana Lindsay is out of a job come July. Board members voted 3-2 last night to remove Dr. Lindsay, but reasons for the ousting are unclear. Board members opposing Lindsay have refused to talk to 23 Newsday. In fact, they've refused to talk to Dr. Lindsay.
They did not give me any reason.
No reason at all?
No reason at all. We've had 9 different school board members in 23 months. It's been a chaotic time, but throughout it all, I have given 110% of my energy and my time and my sincerity for the betterment of this school district.
That betterment included a levy passage after 5 tries and the successful removal of asbestos from the Copley-Fairlawn schools. The system also has had 4 different superintendents in the last 5 years. Why? To a man who supports Dr. Lindsay.
You know, if I could come up with that answer, I'd be a magician, but I just cannot find that answer. And I've searched for it myself. I don't know what it'll take to put this school system back on the right track, but I certainly hope that we can find it somewhere in the near future.
Kuhn says the board members opposing Lindsay offered her an assistant superintendent's job, but Dr. Lindsay turned that position down, simply because she's looking ahead to other school districts who are in need of a well-qualified superintendent. We asked her if she had a lot to do before her contract ends in July.
Oh, I have lots of things to accomplish before July, though just because I've come to an ending with it does not mean that I will stop. And today's a fine example. I'm back on the job, doing my work, meeting my schedules and my responsibilities. I'm a professional educator. I am not a coward.
Carol Costello, 23 Newsday, Copley-Fairlawn.
Now, during the height of the Christmas rush, O'Neill's shopping center downtown in Akron had to be evacuated today. They even sent Santa Claus out onto the street. Santa, the customers, and the workers had to be evacuated after some had complained of smelling gas fumes. The fire department moved in to flush the sewers and make certain that everyone was safe. We asked the chief what happened.
So checking it, it was gasoline, and it no doubt was emitting from this storm sewer that runs under here. There's some perforations in that pipe. And so anyhow, it seemed to have been building up beyond the 4% range, which was not explosive. So what it did, we evacuated the building. As soon as we got that down below 4% by flushing the sewers and so forth, well, then we've let the people get back in here so I can do the Christmas shopping.
The customers and the employees, as he said, were back in the store shortly after 12:30 this afternoon after the gas was flushed from the sewer system.
During the summer, Akron police were scouring the west side of town, searching for clues and a suspect in a string of rapes that took place within a 3-mile radius of the Wallhaven area. And so the man became known as the West Side Rapist. Today, the man they collared, William Smith of South Hawkins, pleaded guilty to rape and attempted burglary charges. Smith was charged with terrorizing women around Wallhaven and the Portage Path areas during June and July and trying to break into a place on Dominion Drive. The sentence for the so-called West Side Rapist, 12 to 25 years behind bars.
Jim, we witnessed again today an all too chillingly familiar scene at Andrews Air Force Base. The Military Honor Guard, the flag-draped coffins carrying the bodies of the 2 American victims of international terrorism. This, the hijacking in Tehran. We also saw the grief-stricken relatives at Andrews Air Force Base today. Vice President George Bush praised the 2 Americans killed by the skyjackers and hinted of possible future retaliation. Charles Hagna and William Stanford will be buried at Arlington National Cemetery next week. Their bodies arrived this morning from Frankfurt, Germany. A small twin-engine plane has crashed near Detroit, and the FAA is going to investigate. It killed 2 men from Tennessee, and police say they believe the plane hit some trees as it approached the Oakland Pontiac Airport, crashing and bursting into flames. The plane was carrying a cargo of side view mirrors for General Motors. The 2 victims were identified as a 31-year-old man named Harshel Drury of Memphis and 22-year-old Timothy Taylor of Bolivar, Tennessee.
Also tonight, an Army executive prop plane crashed early this morning in fog near Fort Belvoir, just across the Potomac River from Washington. The 2 pilots and 2 military passengers on board were reportedly killed. Visibility was described as near zero, and the plane crashed in a wooded area away from the runway. The plane, a U-21 that holds 15 people, was on a flight from Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
When you talk about heating, you should consider two things, comfort and cost. They make flameless electric heating a clear winner. For instance, ceiling cable, gentle, draft-free heat, quiet, clean, comfortable, trouble-free too, and that saves money. Electric baseboard heating, also quiet, clean, comfortable, and trouble-free. With individual room temperature control, that saves money. Or the amazing electric heat pump, so efficient it delivers $2 worth of heat for every $1 worth of energy it uses. No other heating system can match its efficiency, and the electric heat pump is year-round comfort because in summer it air conditions the whole house. Flameless electric heating, each system is unique, and you can depend on them for comfort and value because they're all flameless.
Now, you've probably heard about it by now. The postage stamp is going to be going up in price, another 2 cents. The Board of Governors of the U.S. Postal Service announced it today through the board chairman, John McKeon. He said that it voted yesterday to accept the recommendation of the Independent Postal Rate Commission for rate increases. McKeon said this will go in effect for all classes of mail. The cost of mailing a regular letter, he said, will go up from 20 cents to 22 cents on February 17th.
For college students, the cost of their education can be overwhelming. There are, of course, various methods of payment, perhaps the most unusual of which was seen today. Tonight, Greg Sherlock reports that one student at the University of Akron decided to pay his off with a bag of coins.
When I was in college, Mom and Dad's check did the job, but now as tuition continues to rise, students are looking into alternatives in getting that bill paid and proving a point at the same time. Rob Coaches thought he'd leave the checkbook at home and instead pay his tuition in pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters, $390 in all. A scholarship picks up the rest of Rob's bill, but many others aren't as fortunate, and student leaders wanted to remind the university of that.
I see students that can only take 6 hours instead of 12 because they can't afford 12. I see students that have to drop out of school for a semester because their loan didn't go through. Students have a lot of financial problems, and tuition continues to rise year after year.
At Akron U, the tuition has gone up 80% in the last 6 years. All colleges have been forced to raise their costs as a result of mounting operating costs and salary increases. The students realize this. They just want to make sure things don't get any worse.
One of the things we want to do is call on the university to try to keep costs at a minimum and to make sure they get the most out of every dollar they get to spend, whether it's from our pockets or whether it's from the state taxpayers. Another thing we can do is call on our legislators to give more money to higher education, because when these two factors work together, when you've got increased costs and when you've got inadequate funding by the state, those two things work together and it just creates upward pressure on tuition.
Who knows? University accounting clerks may still be counting Rob's payment at this hour. They hope it doesn't become a trend among students upset with rising costs. A check will do just fine. Greg Sherlock, 23 News Day.
Now, some of the students in the Akron area who are going to high school and trying to work a night job to save a little extra money for college, perhaps, are finding themselves in a sort of catch-22 situation. Tonight, our Rich Barnett tells us about some parents in the Akron area who were shocked to find out their kids were coming in at 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning, coming in from work at that time. Their employers apparently telling them they had to work those late hours or lose their jobs.
High school students are usually delighted when they get a job, but how long and how late they have to work sometimes comes as a surprise.
They had me scheduled an 8-hour day on a school day, and it was really tough. I came home on my break and did my homework.
That's not an isolated case. Lisa Fromm, for example, would be scheduled to work until 7 p.m.
And then I'd go in, and a girl would call and say she couldn't make it, and I was the only one there. I had no choice but to stay until she came in.
How late did you have to stay?
I'd stay 12:30, sometimes till 1 o'clock.
Barb Bush also worked until midnight on school nights and said nothing.
I was afraid to say anything. I just did it without complaining.
But